Good.
How's that? A little bit closer to the mic. Can I have everybody's attention? Welcome, Excellencies, Elders, Indigenous representatives, heads of delegations, Madame et Messieurs. We have the honor to welcome you to this reception on behalf of the Government of Canada and UNESCO with the support of the Permanent Mission of Ecuador to the United Nations on the occasion of a high-level event on the conclusion of the 2019 International Year of Indigenous Languages. It is an honor to join you today on the traditional territory of the Lenape people. On behalf of Ecuador, the UNESCO, and Canada, I welcome you to this celebratory event. Today's closing ceremony marked the end of the International Year of Indigenous Languages, which allowed the celebration and recognition of the richness of Indigenous languages and cultures around the world. This officially designated year is ending, but the future continues, along with our responsibility to preserve and protect Indigenous languages. We are also excited about the possibility of beginning a decade in 2022. I would now like to introduce to you El Ministro de Cultura y Patrimonio de Ecuador, Juan Fernando Velasco.
Muchas gracias. Thank you very much. Pardon my English. Dear Excellencies, delegates, friends, we are honored to co-sponsoring this reception regarding the closing of the International Year of Indigenous Languages. Also, I would like to thank Canada and UNESCO for hosting this event. As you know, Ecuador is committed to the preservation of Indigenous languages, multilingualism, and the maintenance of intercultural education systems and knowledge of diversities. It was an honor and a privilege for Ecuador to have co-chaired the steering committee of the International Year, and we acknowledge the work and efforts made by UNESCO, as well as other relevant actors within the activities carried out during this period. In this connection, we believe that it is important to continue working to preserve, revitalize, and promote Indigenous languages. We believe that the proclamation of the International Decade of Indigenous Languages, which will be adopted tomorrow by the General Assembly of the United Nations, seeks to draw attention to the serious loss of these languages and to call for urgent national and international action to preserve, revitalize, and promote them. We believe that all these efforts will serve to further strengthen the promotion and protection of the rights of Indigenous peoples. Thank you very much for your support and your collaboration on this matter. Have a great evening.
Muchas gracias, Ministro. Now, on behalf of Canada's Métis National Council, I would like to call to the front Minister Morin Del Call, Minister of Culture and Languages.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to start by thanking the Indigenous people on whose territory we are gathered on this evening for allowing us to speak on their land today, and for the hosts, UNESCO and Canada, for this opportunity. We are very pleased that Canada has made a commitment through the Indigenous Languages Act to support the preservation, promotion, and revitalization of Métis, Inuit, and First Nation languages. This is a historic achievement, but it marks only a new and beginning in the journey towards ensuring Michif lives on in our communities. I'm going to keep it very short because I know you're all here to enjoy your evening. You heard us all today. So hearing today about all the Indigenous languages and the need for preservation. This is important to all of us here and around the world. Our work continues, and it's just beginning to ensure our future generations are here to benefit by all we are doing throughout the next decade and into the future. We have to remember that this is about our children, our grandchildren, and our grandchildren, not just us here today. Thank you.
Marseille, Minister de Call. Now I would like to welcome Ermgarda Kasinskaite, representing UNESCO, to come up and say a few words.
So good evening, everyone. Labas vakaras. It's been a really long day, and I would like not to keep you too long before speeches, and I don't have a formal speech. Probably the only speaker today who doesn't have a formal speech. But on behalf of UNESCO, and we would like really to thank everyone who was involved in the organization of International Year, starting with our colleagues at UNESCO, members of the steering committee, all member states which contributed in-kind contribution with support, organizing regional events, financial contributions, and every single step, every single support was very important. I remember in 2016, almost at the same time when the resolution was adopted, we received this information from New York, and it was kind of similar timing. I don't know exactly what was the date, but it was interesting to observe that what we will do now, because the year is coming very soon, and we have to prepare so many things in advance, and the process was not very clear. But what it was interesting to observe, but soon after, when we really decided who's doing what, I must say that it was a truly teamwork. And coming to this evening, kind of closing event is kind of sounded a little bit sad. No? And for me, it looked like the timing, closing event, and we, of course, have a big hope tomorrow what the decade will be proclaimed. So I must say what it looks like today, what we have an evening of a staff time. You know, many people are having parties just before the end of the year, and I would say it's a teamwork. It was a teamwork, and this is probably what I would like to emphasize. Thank you very much for your support. We continue working. We are now much more better equipped than 2 years ago. We have a huge community around the world working with us, and we definitely are very much committed to continue working. And let's make it 10 years plus 2, or 2 plus 10. I don't know where you counted. So in total, a little bit more than 10 years, a decade of action. So thank you very much and enjoy your evening. We really wanted to have this reception, that we would have a little bit of time together, but we would really promote dialogue among different cultures, different people, but as well to find a way to work together. This is not the end, and we look forward to working together with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Umbrella. Now, as a last speaker, I would like to invite the National Chief of the Assembly First Nations, Perry Bellegarde, to say a few words.
Thank you, Chris. Again, Kakiel Nautintik, Ninashkamun, Mistaka Nashkum Tinwal. Kakiel Lenapi, Angohoy, Hodonasone peoples, Kanashkum Tinwal. Mistapik Squid Nihanab Sisi. Speak a little bit of Cree here. Just to acknowledge the Lenape peoples, the Angohoy peoples, the Mohawk peoples, whose ancestral lands were gathered here. To acknowledge the nation states Canada and Ecuador and UNESCO for their good work for hosting all of us here. And I see many relatives in the crowd here, many Indigenous peoples. I see Sami people, Indigenous peoples, First Nations people, Métis people, Inuit people. But we're people. And what we're here to do is to acknowledge the importance of language. But we say, when we say, we're acknowledging us as the two-leggeds. But I want to share just quickly our worldview, how we're all people. And we don't care if you're black, white, yellow, red. We're the two-legged tribe. And when we go to ceremonies, our elders teach us, we acknowledge the Creator. And then we'll acknowledge Mother Earth from where everything comes. We all have this mother. We'll acknowledge Father Sky, Grandmother Moon, Grandfather Sun. We'll acknowledge the one that sits in the east, the one that sits in the south, the west, the north, those four thunder beings that sit there. We'll acknowledge our relatives, the four-leggeds, the ones that fly, the ones that swim, the ones that crawl. We'll acknowledge the male plants, the female plants. And we'll also acknowledge those four grandmother spirits that look after the waters. The rainwater, the fresh water, the salt water, and then the power of women when life comes. So when we say, all my relatives, we're not just acknowledging us as the two-leggeds. We're all part of that family. And as family, we come together to share good times, struggling times, bad times, but we're together. And we can help when we use this worldview, our First Nations worldview, our Indigenous worldview, because we're all connected as the two-leggeds. We're all family. And we have a big challenge in Creole say Otini Gan in the future. And it's not just our language revitalization, but it is having global action on climate change, climate destruction. We all have to work together in this world struggle. So the ones that come after us, in Cree will say, the little ones are those yet unborn to have a bright future. So tonight, it's a beginning in a good way. So I'm very pleased on behalf of the Assembly First Nations to be part of this. Again, to lift up Canada, Ecuador, UNESCO, for bringing us together as the two-legged tribe. Ego se, que nas continuar.
And I think there's only one thing left to say for tonight, and that is bonne soirée à tous et à toutes. Have a very, very good evening.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, well, thank you so much.